Okay, welcome. All right, if you're new to the channel, this channel is all about stock market technical analysis. We cover all kinds of charts. I look for trade ideas. I put them out there on YouTube for everyone. Everything on this channel is obviously just my opinion, and I'm not giving out trading advice. So this is not investment advice or anything like that. It's just literally my trade ideas that I see and my technical analysis. If you want to learn how to use technical analysis to your advantage, I do have a course. Link is in the description below. It's a $99 course. It's about 5 to 6 hours of instruction, and it should really give you good skills so that these videos, a lot will be more clear in these videos if you've taken the course as I go through the various concepts in these videos. All right, let's get started. So Peloton, we're going to start out here. We've got a sell signal today on Peloton. I saw it yesterday. I added to the trade. Obviously, I can't tell you when I'm adding to a trade, but what I can do is point out these charts day in and day out so that you're able to replicate these lines, and then you can see the trade idea for yourself. So yesterday, let me show you what it looked like yesterday. Yesterday, we were right there, just starting to break, and it wasn't that impulsive, so I was a little bit, I was a little suspicious of it because it was happening towards the end of the day, but it was a break of the trend. And if you look at Peloton, here's the trend line on the hourly chart that this thing's been in for, going back to November. We had a false break right here during the holiday season. Again, that was just a whipsaw. We just throw that out for the most part because that was a really thinly traded market during the holidays. So we just throw that out as an outlier and just continue to look at the trend line there. Now we had another breakdown right here in January, which proved to be a whipsaw, and then we were just breaking again. So this really was going to be another break. And again, a breakdown is a breakdown until it's proven otherwise. And this is, this is a breakdown. So added to the short yesterday. At the close, and sure enough today we're getting, this looks like the real deal. We are seeing a lot more impulsive selling, multiple candles of selling, whereas the previous sell-offs, you can see even in the holiday you had a couple hours here, this was really the only breakdown that we could consider a potential false breakdown or bear trap. You had two hours of selling, and then the buyer stepped in. This looks a lot different. In fact, we've really been selling all the way since up here, and it's just straight down. So it's impulsive. That's a sell signal. So now we roll out to the daily charts, kind of look at where this thing's heading. And I've got some levels here. So we have the previous high. Let me go ahead and get rid. Well, yeah, we have this previous peak right here. So I would say that 137.50 is a very relevant level. And then equally, let's go to the hourly here, see where I got some of these other levels. Yeah, so this area, 137.50 area, down to about 130. Yeah, it's about 137.50. So we'll go ahead and mark that out. And it also looks at about 140, kind of a zone, really. There's two levels right there where there could be some support. So I think we're heading straight down to that area. That's the next stop. We're likely to get some sort of a reaction right in there. And then break of that, which I do think will happen, then we've got some levels, coming down. I'm going to have to probably look at this chart a little bit and kind of clean it up now that we're getting some actual breakdowns. Some of these levels are from the past that just aren't relevant anymore. Clear level down here, you can see a couple reactions right down there in Peloton. So I think that's probably a high probability area down here at about 79, about $80. That might be my ultimate target, kind of the final target for this trade. But that would be a drop from where we're at now of about 68, 69%. That's a pretty good short if we get it. So I'm looking for this thing to continue to make lower prices. We are breaking trend now. We do have a sell signal. Let's look at the volume real quick, just see how we're coming in on volume. The volume's still pretty light, so one thing to take note of, usually when you have a breakdown, you want to see some volume come in. Not really seeing that volume yet, so let's keep an eye on that. The day's still young, so we have, there could be more selling and more volume coming in. Another thing, obviously, we had negative divergence. So that's been the thesis behind this trade, is the fact that there's been negative divergence that has been put in place. We got that negative divergence on this gap up right here. And now we're starting to, and it gapped up right to resistance too. So that was an objective area to short, because you gapped up, creating negative divergence right into resistance. Yeah, it overshot it just a little bit, but again, close enough. And then it's been rejected ever since. So far on this trade, I entered right here and, you know, profitable by about, as of right now, about 6%. Another one to keep an eye on. Now, we haven't broken down yet, but PayPal looks like it's gonna break, or, you know, starting to. We don't have, this isn't a sell signal yet, but here's the daily chart. And you've got this trend line that this thing's been walking up on the daily chart. And we're just starting to inch down. So if we go to the hourly, you can see there's the breakdown. So look for this to, you know, look for this to get more impulsive. Look for it to continue to sell, to really trigger that sell signal. If this fires and we do get that sell signal, you know, PayPal's got a ways to go, but we do have a level right there. Looks like we've got some support right there, somewhere right. Let me kind of fine tune it. Yeah, it's right about there. Yeah. I guess we'll say it's right. Well, that's the thing. We gapped over that. Yeah, right. We'll just leave it right there for now. And that would be at about 225.80. So expect a reaction in that area. Obviously, you know, you have this gap, so it could easily come down and fill the gap, which is sitting at 223.50, we'll say. So there's a support zone, likely to get a reaction there. We break that, then we're probably heading down to there, which is 206.55. We break that. We've got major support is right down here. You can see 175, lots of reactions around that area. So I would say that's that's kind of major support, likely to get a reaction there. And then we obviously have a gap that's been marked out. Here's your gap way down here. And, that's all the way down at 130, so likely to get a reaction there. If this starts to sell, I think there is a decent probability we could fill that gap. And that would be a move of about 46-50%. So that's what we're looking for on this one. Just waiting for that sell signal, waiting for the selling to increase. So we could be early. I'm not short this, but I'm definitely, looking to take a position if we get that sell signal. So a little more selling, and and actually we can kind of mark out a support level right there. And I would say if we break that, let's say we break 244.20 and get an hourly close below that, that's probably going to be the sell signal that I'm looking for. Okay, let's just talk about the S&P 500. I've adjusted my trend lines a little bit. So previously I had this price channel that looks something like this. And, I kept saying we have 3 false breakdowns or bear traps. And that was the case at that point in time. But, after looking at it some more, usually you get a bear trap or a false breakdown. You get 1, maybe you can get 2. We've had 3. So I think I need, I need to adjust my trend line, because that doesn't make a lot of sense anymore. So here's how I've actually readjusted it. I've got this bearish rising wedge. Here, this is coming off the March 2020 lows right there. And we did, obviously that was a false breakdown right there. But then you can see the reactions that we've been getting lately. We've got, we held support here, held support here, held support here. So there's 3 reactions or confirmations around that trend line. So I like that lower trend line now. And then on the upper end, I've got what is, kind of, basically a bearish rising wedge. So you've got, resistance here, tagged it right in here, and then once right there. So 3 reactions that needed to make a trend line. So that's what I'm going to go with for right now. And this is a bearish pattern setting up for a bearish breakdown. Again, there's a lot of, I see a lot of bearish signs on this chart in general. I see big negative divergence right there. That's not being negated. If this market was truly bullish and going to be bullish for a lot longer, we should burn through this negative divergence. So we should see a big ramp higher, running up and making a new high, higher than this previous high right here. But we haven't done that. So all we've done is on these new higher prices is make, less momentum, lower highs. And so that's bearish in general. It shows that momentum is fading. You can see the PPO obviously shows that the momentum is fading there. And we have a bearish rising wedge pattern. So in general, bearish. And then if I look at the weekly and roll out, and you see my blue line here, this is going all the way back to 2009. There's your 2009 Great Recession lows. In 2016, we tagged that as a support line, tagged it again, tagged it again, tagged it again in 2018 several times, and then we broke, and we've been tagging that trend line from underneath ever since. So you can see this cluster right here was all underneath. We were rejected at resistance. Here in 2020, right before the COVID drop, we hit that trend line and were rejected at resistance. And I actually hadn't moved that line. This line was here in the COVID, before COVID, the COVID plunge came. We were right there at resistance. I put out a video saying I think we're at the top of the market because that's the data that I had. And I was obviously short. I put out videos saying I'm getting short the market. And I caught this big drop, this big gain. So I haven't caught all the gains here. But again, most people didn't catch this. So net, I think that you can make money being short. And then you can see where we're at right now. We're basically right at, right in that resistance zone again. So get energy continuing to be weak. You can see down percent today, a little over 1%. But we're continuing to show weakness. You can see this candle right here. This is a pretty bearish candle because this candle we were ramping up and it was sold off basically and still closed pretty much below resistance. And we've just continued that with more selling. So in general, energy is looking weak. Looks like we're going lower here in XLE. And I think we're heading down, honestly, I think we're heading down to this 34-24 area. Again, looking at the daily on XLE, there's your negative divergence. So this was a divergent high. I told everyone about it, saying I was getting short. And so far, this continues to work. So XLE from this high to where it's at now is down about 8% and continues to look like there's more selling to come. Okay, so we have FANG earnings coming up this week. I think Microsoft reports after the bell today, so watch that one. That's going to be really important. Here's what we got going on as of today. We have right now we're kind of running up against this former high, this little peak right here, and it kind of looks like a breakout basically, but here's the thing. It's a breakout right before earnings. That is not a breakout that I would want to take. Institutional money is not loading up on Microsoft right before earnings for the most part. They are, this is most likely retail trade. So keep an eye on that. The other thing is you've got negative divergence on Microsoft. It's, we're just extending the negative divergence right there. But we have negative divergence on the RSI. We have negative divergence on the PPO, and negative divergence right here with a breakout right before earnings, highly suspect, basically. So I suspect Microsoft, for whatever reason, is going to miss. The market's going to perceive it as a miss. They might beat. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what the market does. So if they beat the earnings and then the market sells off, that's really what matters. So watch how the market reacts to the earnings, not necessarily what they say. Okay, and we'll just wrap with Etsy. This morning, I noticed that pre-market, the thing was up like 8% because Elon Musk tweeted about liking Etsy. He liked their products or liked their service. I don't know. And it's just kind of funny that a stock, that the company can be valued 8% more because someone likes a product. So that just kind of shows the pump and the hype that's going into this thing. But you can see that Etsy's already, it opened up and they just slammed that thing down, sold it all off. It's down about 1% today. nothing major. You've got this gap right here that it's likely going to find some, well, that's where it's finding support right now. So it's, nothing going on too much. But if you look at the daily here, you've got a break of support right there. Did a back test right in this area, and when you did that back test, continued the negative divergence. You know, even if you said that we didn't have negative divergence before, we clearly have it right there. That's clear negative divergence. This price action up here was divergent high, and we, you know, divergent high right into major resistance, and you can see it's struggling in this area. So I think Etsy heads lower. Where does Etsy go? Well, you know, there's some support down in these areas. We're going to have to, you know, there's a clear support right here as well. You can see it right there. So I think, well, you know, if we break momentum and starts to head down, which I believe it will, the negative divergence tells me it's going to, 167 I think will be the next level of kind of major support. And so we'll watch that. You can see the PPO right here on Etsy's, you know, about to make a cross, about to make a bearish crossover right there. So hasn't done it yet. We got to wait for that. But until then, I think this thing is going lower. So I'm going to leave it here. Appreciate it, guys. I'll put the video out. Leave me a thumbs up if you guys find some value in the content, and I will catch you guys after the Microsoft earnings. Talk to you later. Bye.